Hey everyone, welcome to another live edition of the Bolt Crew podcast. Dave Palais, Josh Palais, Mario Heron. No Mario. Man, you know what? It's Cal Ripken Jr. They don't make them every day. Show up to work. I'm here. Josh is here. Mario's not here. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, two's enough, right? That's the way it's going to go. In all seriousness, Mario told Josh and I, guys, I'm not doing well today. Health-wise, wasn't feeling too good. Not going to make it. And so we hope he has a speedy recovery. That's the last we heard from him about 3 hours ago. And I hope he's sleeping, getting better. And that's the extent of his injuries. But otherwise, hopefully we'll see Mario back on the show on Thursday. Again, appreciate everybody that is watching the show live. If you're watching the show on YouTube, you can go ahead and you can leave your comments. Of course, we'll get to those as well. And we'll figure the whole thing out. On my side, Josh, I'm not getting the comments. Are you able to get them on your side?
Nope.
God dang it, Mario. You sabotaged the whole show.
Oh, there's somebody. There we go. There's a comment. I don't know what I'm doing at all right now. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing. I literally don't know what I'm doing right now.
All right. You got us on there. That's all that matters.
I think I did.
B. Hannah, let's go. Isaiah Francis, rest in peace, Mario. What's up, boys? Bolt up. Steven, appreciate that. All right. There we go. We're off and running. We'll get it going. All right. So today's show, we want to obviously we're going to talk Charger football, but we're going to talk about what happened in the first preseason game. At the same time, we want your comments. If you have anything that has gone on that you see with the Chargers that you want to see them change, do things a little bit different, we'll talk about all that stuff. I always say this because I teased it in the last show, Josh, when I said I had something I was going to tease and I wanted to answer it right away. The old radio thing is you always got to pay your teases off. When we talked about the tease we paid off was who should the Chargers look out for a quarterback to back up Justin Herbert. And we said Ryan Tannehill. Now, all of a sudden, it's all over the place, right? I mean,
yep.
Article after article, Ryan Tannehill is the guy they should go after. Well, I told you in the last show that I'd pay off the tease because we had a question. The question was, how did the Chargers get their name? All right, so I'm going to tell you right now, this is how the Chargers got their name. The Los Angeles Chargers got their name in 1960 after winning a contest to name the new American Football League, the AFL franchise. The winning entry came from the Chargers, who was chosen by their general manager, Frank Leahy, who was approved by the team's owner, Baron Hilton. Hilton said he liked the name Chargers because he enjoyed hearing the crowd yell charge at USC games and Dodger games, and he liked the way it sounded with the bugle and everything else. So that's how they ended up with the name Chargers. A lot of people thought it had to do with credit cards. It's not a joke, but there you go. I'm just proud I was able to read that off of Google without any glasses. So that's the best ability that I have. Either way, its name is Chargers. Some people can say that name is cursed. Sounds kind of cool. We haven't filled up a lot of trophy cases with that name, but that name is not changing. If they're going to change the name, they would have changed it when they moved the team back from San Diego to LA in 2017. They didn't. It's kept the same color, same name, and that's the way it went. So there you go. When anyone in San Diego says that Los Angeles stole their franchise, San Diego stole the franchise first. They started in Los Angeles in 1960, 1961. They moved to San Diego. It took LA a while, but they came back and got what was theirs, and now they're the Los Angeles Chargers, and here we are today. Simple enough.
Yeah, we love the Chargers. I don't love the preseason, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a huge football fan. Never enjoyed the preseason. It was hard to watch. I think all you guys are out there watching the Seahawks and Chargers game the other day. It was difficult, man. And we talked about on the last show, like you mentioned, about Ryan Tannehill. Is he the future backup with the Chargers? They just signed Luis Perez. They got Max Duggan. Easton Stick was the biggest conversation point from that game. Do you like preseason football? And what was your takeaway from the Seahawks-Chargers game?
Hate preseason football. Wish they didn't have it. They don't use it in college football. I think it's a waste. I think you see enough from your team in practice. I kind of think it actually helps NFL teams out by basically not having preseason. The reason I tell you this, why I hate it more than anything, not the fact that players might get hurt or players don't play. It's the fact that they charge the same amount of money for the Chargers to play the Dallas Cowboys in week 8 as they do for the Chargers to play the Seahawks in week 1 of the preseason. You understand? The tickets cost the same. It's the biggest scam going. You aren't going to usually see superstars. If you're lucky enough to catch Caleb Williams playing against the Buffalo Bills in the preseason game and see a little bit of him, I got news for you. That's the last preseason game you're ever going to see him play. From here on out, Caleb Williams will never play the rest of his career in a preseason game because he's too valuable. You can't take a chance of getting him hurt. So some teams will used to look at preseason as a chance to scout other teams to see which guys are going to pull off their roster. But at the same time, Josh, is even though we're down to 3, believe it or not, preseason games used to be as many as 6 games before the season would start. That's ridiculous. 6
That's
weeks of
crazy.
preseason, it's a joke. So I would love to see it just start. I know the players would love to see it just start. Let's do what it's eventually going to happen. Eventually, what's going to happen? It's going to be a 20-game season, and there's going to be no preseason, right? The guys are going to get paid more. They're going to tell the players we're going to raise the salary cap, and we're going to pay the players more money, and we're going to get 20 weeks out of this thing. And down the line, that's what it's going to be. It's a lot of games, it sounds like, right? Considering there are 52 weeks in a year and you're playing 20 games. I know some people say, dude, I go to work every day. You understand? I'm working a lot out of those days out of the year. Dude, you aren't getting the crap beaten out of you every 30 seconds at your work. It's a big damn difference in your job and what it does to your body, but that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the fence when it comes to preseason. Who do you play and who do you not play? Look at the Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy, torn meniscus, right? He's going to be out for a very long time. If that's your quarterback of the future, you're freaking out. Charger fans are already freaking out, right? Because they see Easton Stick and they see other guys on this team and they think we're just not very good. I would tell everybody to relax and slow down. It's just week 1 of the preseason. It doesn't mean too much, but you do have to look at the players on the team and think, are they good? Is this just an off week? I mean, it's the very first week we've seen them in 2024. Are we going to have the same thing we had last year where we had 5 wins? Well, we don't think that at all, right? We think the Chargers are a playoff team. And the guys that played on the field for the most part are backups for a reason, right? You saw that, especially from the offense, right? The offense was hard to watch. One of the worst games hopefully we see all season from the offense. It's because it's the backups, like I said. But do you look into the preseason and get worried about things like that? Or do you look at it as just the preseason?
No, I'll be honest with you. I look at things. So I said on the last show before they played the game I kind of want to see how things move. I understand the offense isn't going to be close to what we're going to see in week 1 against the Raiders, but you kind of want to see a little bit how they line up, right? There's something to be said. They aren't throwing a complete fake offense out there. Part of it's going to be we're going to run what we're running in practice. It's going to be just dialed down a lot. So when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at that offense, which is non-existent, in case you missed the game, the Chargers lose 16-3. I mean, you mustered 3 points. Your offense didn't do anything. The quarterback play, as we said, without Justin Herbert was awful. I mean, to me, the most impressive quarterback was Luis Perez, who I believe a week ago at this time wasn't even on the team. And so you look at Max Duggan and you're going, okay, and you look at Easton Stick and people who want to defend Easton Stick in the group chat and yelled at us, even the fact we brought up Ryan Tannehill's name. It didn't give you comfort. I'll tell you what, when you look at Seattle and Geno Smith's the starting quarterback and Sam Howell's your backup, you feel comfortable because you've seen Sam Howell put up numbers before with Washington. So there has to be something there. I mean, as you just said a second ago, JJ McCarthy has an injury. Vikings don't know when he's coming back. So people say torn meniscus. That on the group chat, someone's saying that he's out for the year. I don't think you're out for the year in a torn meniscus. It's usually a 6-week injury, but I don't know the extent of it. It's the ACL, obviously, is the one that's the big one that will put you out for the year. But at the same time, I didn't like what I saw from the offense. But I'll say this, on the bright side of things, I did like what I saw from the defense. Does that balance things out? Because the defense was what scared us the most heading into the season. Was what are they going to do on the backside of that defense? And I like what I saw.
The defense looked great, and the defense you heard looked great against the Rams, right? They completely shut them down for the whole scrimmage that they had with the Los Angeles Rams. Nick Neiman has the big game for the Chargers, right? I'm going to read you his stat line. He had 12 total tackles, 9 of them were solo, had a sack, a tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits. I mean, that's everything you could hope for in a player on the defensive side of the ball. But the defense as a whole looked very good. The offense was anemic, right? So the next question I would ask you when it comes to preseason, week 2 specifically, do you give Luis Perez a start? Do you get Max Duggan a start? We've seen Easton Stick now for what is this, year 4? I mean, he's been there for a very long time. He is what he is to me. I don't think he's going to turn into Patrick Mahomes. Do you give another guy a start here? What do you do?
I would. For me, I would give whether it's Duggan or it's Perez. I wouldn't go back to Easton Stick. I don't know. Here's the thing with Jim Harbaugh. He's not tied to any of these guys, which I like. I mean, sorry, you picked 5th overall for a reason. That you have a guy that comes in and says, I didn't tell anyone in that room to draft that guy. I didn't tell anyone to sign that guy. I'll make my decision who's going to be on the roster and who I think I can win with. I'm not throwing Easton Stick away, but at the same time, there was nothing there of any of the 3 that you go, man, that guy would be a starter on another NFL team. Sorry, none of those guys are starters on other NFL teams. I think it was Mike G just wrote in there. He goes, CJ Beathard's the number 3 with Jacksonville. Again, a veteran backup that's been around, might not make the roster with Jacksonville. Probably you could trade for him for nothing. But it'd be kind of crazy, huh? CJ Beathard coming in to be part of the Chargers after his grandfather was the general manager of the Chargers for many years, the general manager when the team went to the Super Bowl. There are going to be guys out there. I hope one of these guys steps up, because Justin Herbert's not Phillip Rivers. And what I mean by that is Phillip Rivers was able to play every game. Phillip Rivers, at the time he retired, had played in the most consecutive games, and even passed Eli Manning for the most consecutive games played by a quarterback. Because if you recall, remember Eli and the whole deal with the coaching staff, how they're going to sit him, and he goes, "No, that's fine. Go ahead and sit me." Even though he had that consecutive streak, like the Giants didn't care at all. That it would be like Cal Ripken Jr. Dude, you're almost there. Like, you're the leader of the record, but we're going to sit you out for one game and ruin your entire deal. Phillip Rivers showed up, and that's a big thing in sports. Can you show up? Are you available? Not calling Justin Herbert soft, but Herbert is suffering injuries. There's a chance Justin Herbert goes down at some point in the season. Who's going to be the guy to play quarterback for this team to give you a chance to win when Herbert can't go?
That's a great point, because people keep saying, well, it's a backup. What does it really mean? Well, it means a lot, right? Because Justin Herbert, like you said, isn't Phillip Rivers, and nobody really is Phillip Rivers, but you play every game and you never sit out. Nobody does that except Phillip Rivers and Brett Favre, right? I would have a veteran like Ryan Tannehill be the backup, or a guy that you can rely on. You know he's going to step up, not like Chase Daniel 2 years ago when he didn't know what was going on. And you have a guy that you can depend on, because Justin Herbert has had these injuries where you do not know if he's going to play all 17 games. I mean, right now he has 1 foot. How can we rely on Justin Herbert to play in 17 games on 1 foot? Hopefully he gets better and he's ready to go for the season, which I think he will be. But like I said, you can't rely on him to play all 17 games when he's done it before, when he's missed games, right? For me, I would go Max Duggan with the start in the second game. The reason why is because Easton Stick had his chance and he didn't show up. Give Max Duggan some more snaps, get the whole first half, I would say. He only got to throw 7 passes last game, I believe. 4 of them were completions. Give him the whole first half, see what he can do. And then in the third game, you give Luis Perez the whole first half and see what he can do. The reason why I wouldn't do Luis Perez in the second game is because he just joined the team. The fact that Luis Perez looked like he might be the best quarterback on the team and he's been there for 4 days is concerning. The guy doesn't even know the playbook. Luis Perez should look like the worst quarterback on the team, but he didn't. Which is great for Luis. But I would give Max Duggan the whole first half in the second game, and then Luis Perez the whole first half in the third game, and let these guys fight it out. And if nobody wins the job, then you sign a guy like Ryan Tannehill. Or if everybody doesn't look good in the second half, then bring Ryan Tannehill in for the third game. I mean, you guys got to make a change here. If Easton Stick is not the guy, cut ties with him now. To me, he's a Staley guy, right? Staley liked Easton Stick, and anybody that's tied to Brandon Staley, to me, is not somebody I want on this future Chargers team.
Here's the concerning thing about waiting for Tannehill is that you can't assume he's going to be there when preseason's over, right? I mean, we just mentioned the Vikings just lost a quarterback, and other teams are in the same situation when they're looking at their backup situation going, you know what? There's a veteran out there that's been in the league 11 years that has thrown a ton of touchdown passes that could jump right in, and it will give you an athlete back there that's not going to get rattled when it's his turn. I honestly, Josh, I think it's a decision that needs to be made sooner than later, and you can't sit there and just wait. You know, if someone wrote in the chat, it passed through is, you know, how much would Tannehill want? From everything I've read on Tannehill, he's staying in shape. He's ready to go. Does not expect to be a starting quarterback this year. Sounds like he's reserved to the role of Joe Flacco or Vinny Testaverde back in the day of I'm ready to be a backup, but I'm staying in shape and I'm ready to go. I've seen all kinds of defenses and I'm ready to accept that paycheck that pays a lot of money to be a backup quarterback. It's not something that would kill the Chargers to bring him in, but it's something that it's a safety net that this team has to have. I don't think that's overblown. Absolutely. You already start the season with an injured quarterback. I mean, we already know Justin Herbert literally has an injury right now.
Yeah, no, you definitely need to bring in a quarterback. I wouldn't mind them bringing in other positions as well. I mean, cornerback to me would be a position I would want to keep looking at. Defensive line, even though they look good in the game, I'd keep looking at guys in free agency. I don't think there's any reason for this Chargers team to say we're set at this one position. I'd go edge rusher. There you go. Edge rusher, I don't need any more edge rushers. I'm very comfortable with the edge rushers the Chargers have. I think they're right at the top of the league in edge rushers. But almost every other position, why not give guys more looks? Tight end. Are you guys sold on Hayden Hurst? I understand Hayden Hurst hasn't had the best situations throughout his career, but he's been on 5 or 6 teams for a reason. I would look at anybody that's in free agency and see if you can bring him into the team to make this roster better. I think the biggest concern for the Chargers throughout the season is going to be weapons on offense. Are we going to have the weapons on offense to move the ball down the field? Justin Herbert can only do so much. believe his record's 36-47 in his career. Do you think it's because it's Justin Herbert's fault? I don't think it's his fault. I think Justin Herbert's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he hasn't had the players on the field with him to stay at his level, right? Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, a big knock on them. How many games are they going to miss? Are they going to be out there with Justin Herbert to help him win games? They weren't. And I think that's a big reason why they're not on the team now. I would always look at guys in free agency to see if you can bring them onto the offense or defense to make this a better team.
Last thing I'm going to say on Tannehill, because someone wrote a comment, said I watched Tannehill last year. It was terrible. Dude, so did I. I tell you, I watch every Titans game just because, obviously, I told you my dad used to be a Titans season ticket holder. He's no longer with us. And so I kind of watch those games just as, remembering him. But I'll tell you this about Tannehill. The Titans had the worst offensive line in football. Outside handing the ball to Derrick Henry, there's not a lot you can do. I'm not saying Tannehill's a Pro Bowl quarterback at all. What I'm saying is he's a veteran that can step in, and not saying you won't miss a beat, but it's not going to be drastic like what we saw from Easton Stick. No offense to Easton Stick. He didn't look good. I agree with Angie. She watched the game, said he was horrible. And he was. I mean, they could not move the ball. They couldn't do anything. They were out. And going back to what the point you just made, Josh, what do they always say in sports? What does a coach always say about the players? My job is to find your replacement every single day. Your job is to make sure I don't find that person.
Yep.
I mean, that it's as simple as that. And that's what Jim Harbaugh is doing. And if you don't think you can make the tough decisions, you can't be a head coach. You can't be a general manager. It's not all about friendships. As we say all the time, they're good guys pumping gas at the Shell station down the street. Doesn't mean you want to play quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers. We need winners. We need guys that can produce.
Absolutely. One of the bright spots I thought from the last game was Dan Henley. Is it me or did he put on 30 pounds of muscle? I mean, the guy looked like a monster out there. If we can get Dan Henley and Junior Colson to play on the field at the same time, I think that'd be a bright spot for the Chargers next season. What do you think? Or this season?
I agree with that as well. Colson's one of those guys I'm extremely excited to watch. And maybe I'm a little bit concerned because, he didn't start off exactly healthy. But you hope it's one of those where he's not healthy now. It's not one of those things that he doesn't remain healthy. Like we've seen those guys in the past that the Chargers have had where they've had talent, right? I'm trying to blank the cornerback that went to the 49ers after the Chargers, who when he was healthy was great.
Jason Verrett.
Holy mackerel, man. Jason Verrett was hurt all the time. And so when you think about some guys, do they have the body to last? And you say, man, I hope he has the body to last. The NFL game, a little bit faster, guys a little bit stronger. Do you have the body to last? But if this guy can stay healthy, he shows us everything that you can understand why they drafted him. Like right away, I think we all were excited that they drafted him and said, this guy's going to be an anchor for this defense for years to come.
Yeah. Who are you looking for to have a better year this season? Dan Henley or Junior Colson?
Junior Colson,
right? Right now they have him as the starter, even though he hasn't been out there because of the medical condition he had. I think everybody's saying he's the guy that you want for the future for 10 plus years. We talked about on this show, the Chargers haven't had a staple at middle linebacker since Donnie Edwards. I mean, I'm trying to think of the last time the Chargers had a middle linebacker that was, you knew he was going to be there every game and for the next few years. The Chargers haven't had that, which has made a huge difference in their defense, right? That's why I think our run defense has been bad altogether. Jesse Minter coming in with his guy from Michigan to stay there, hopefully for a few years, because I think Jesse Minter is going to be on the way out if he produces as a defensive coordinator. I think it'd be huge for the Chargers.
I agree with you. So looking at the Chargers, as far as, as we said, big name guys didn't play, guys we didn't get a chance to see play. The list was long. I mean, it just, star after star after star. If you went to the game, I understand you went because you wanted to see the first Jim Harbaugh game, but Justin Herbert, Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Gus Edwards, Josh Palmer, Cam Hart, Darius Davis, Junior Colson, J.K. Dobbins, Salier didn't play, Bozeman didn't play, McConkey didn't play, Vidal didn't play. I mean, it's amazing that many guys didn't play. By the way, we didn't say it, but quarterback Casey Bauman was waived as well yesterday. They made some roster moves, so they've cut that quarterback room down. It'll be interesting to see how much different they look with the Rams. I know it sounds crazy in a preseason game, but look, when the Jets play the Giants in a preseason game, it matters to the city of New York. Now, in Los Angeles, the rivalry between the Rams and the Chargers doesn't even feel close to the same because, the difference of when the teams got here with all the years that were built up between the Giants and the Jets. But if I'm Dean Spanos and I'm the Rams, I'm going, we share a stadium with these guys. The Chargers are paying $1 rent. We built this thing for $6 billion. We want to show them it's our house. Rams slogans, Rams house. And for the Chargers, I'm like, no, hey, thanks for cleaning up. We live here now. This belongs to us now. You know what I mean? Like, I hope the Chargers don't look at it as a way of like they're playing the Atlanta Falcons this week. I want them to look at it a little bit more seriously. And Jim Harbaugh seems like a competitive guy to say, we want to own this city. We want to own this stadium. Like, we want the fan base. You know, the talk is in Los Angeles that the old-time football fans are Rams fans. The young fans like you, Josh, are Charger fans. And so I hope we see a much better game, a different game, and different people play. Again, I don't see guys get banged up, but I don't want to see the Rams go in there and stick it to the Chargers this weekend.
Well, you're from Los Angeles, right? I'm from San Diego. I don't think the rivalry between the Chargers and the Rams could be any less. Like, they just do not. I feel like they just don't care about one another. It's like
Clippers and Lakers have a bigger rivalry.
100%.
Yeah,
Clippers and Lakers actually don't like each other. I think the Rams and the Chargers are just two teams that happen to play in the same stadium. They just look at each other like, oh yeah, you live here too. It's like a roommate. Like, you don't want the roommate to be there, but he's there. You know, that's how the Chargers and Rams are. That's just how it is. I mean, nobody really cares about the rivalry between the Chargers and Rams, except for maybe a few people like you that are from Los Angeles. I don't look at the Rams as anything but another team in the NFC West. I don't look at the Rams more of a rival than I would the San Francisco 49ers. But I'm also not from Los Angeles. So I don't know how it is for people up in Los Angeles. I know Charger fans obviously hate the Raiders more than any team in the NFL, and then it would be the Chiefs and the Broncos, and then it's almost every other team. I don't know if the Chargers would have a fourth rival.
Yeah. Okay. So Miguel writes in here on the side. All right. Just my eyes went to this. Says, I don't think Jim Harbaugh cares about winning in the preseason. I will say this about Jim Harbaugh. Number one, we know he's competitive. He talks about it all the time, about how competitive he is and what you're made out of. Look, you signed a 5-year contract. I mean, it was a big deal. It was the biggest coaching news in all the NFL this offseason. In your first preseason game, doesn't matter if it's practice or not, it's on television. There's a scoreboard right there. There are people in the stands. To score 3 points, to me, is not the showing you want to show. And maybe I'm wrong on this, but 3 points is embarrassing. I mean, so if I'm Dean and I've been around for a long time, been doing this for 30 years as almost 40 years as an owner, and you'd say, Jim, what do you see? Do you like what you see so far out of our guys? I mean, it'd be nice to score more than 3 points. You know, I mean, their season tickets still available. It'd be nice to know maybe we might put on a show this year. That's what I'd be thinking if I'm Dean. I'm a businessman. 3 points against Seattle at home.
Nobody cares about the preseason, right? Especially week 1 of the preseason.
You can lose, but to score 3 points.
Dude, it's called building blocks, right? Week 1's down here. Then you got week 2. Then you got week 3.
At the bottom. That is talk about a foundation.
How about we meet in the middle? How about we meet in the middle, okay? How about we play a couple more guys that are actually going to be on this team and play in week 1 against the Raiders? And I'm not saying give these guys the whole first half. How about we see J.K. Dobbins for a couple drives just to see what he has? A couple guys out there like how about Quentin Johnston? Give him some playing time. Have guys out there that are going to play on this team and see what they have. Is anybody here sold on Quentin Johnston? Everybody knows me and Dave aren't. Why not give these guys some opportunities to play against some real-life competition? I believe when guys don't play in the preseason, and a lot of guys don't play in the preseason, you start out flat in week 1, and we can't afford to start out flat in week 1 against a team that's in our division. I would like to see these guys get a little bit more playing time in week 2 here, especially when you come out flat like you did against the Seahawks.
Okay. Tom wrote on here, he goes, Harbaugh wants to win at anything, you know, and I agree. I mean, Harbaugh almost drowned his older brother in the ocean and on family vacation because he's so competitive. Do you remember that? The whole thing with John and him in the ocean on vacation, the big Harbaugh vacation, and then goes all of a sudden he dunks him and holds him under the water. These are grown men, like 60 years old. The guy is so competitive. Even John always says, Jim never had any friends growing up. Couldn't get along with anybody. But you know what? He's ours. We kind of love it. I kind of like the fact that he's going after Daniel Popper right there in the post-game show, in the post-game interviews. He's not okay with it. He might sit there and say it's preseason and say all the right things. I guarantee you, that's why guys got cut on Monday. You didn't have to cut guys on Monday. You sit there and you start kicking guys out of the locker room. You're gone. Guess what? You can't help us win. Give us your helmet. Give us your shoulder pads and your name right there. We'll take it. You're gone. I don't want guys to feel easy. Does that make sense at all? Like, man, if you feel like you're untouchable, you're going to cruise. And I don't think Tom Harbaugh wants anyone's going to cruise. I'm just calling him Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I don't think Tom Cruise is going to let it happen. Yeah. Well, we talked about this already. His brother wants to win all the preseason games, right? The Ravens are known for winning all the preseason games. And I understand you want to win every single game you're out there competing. I didn't lose sleep over the Chargers looking bad against the Seahawks. I know some people did, and that's fine. You guys are Charger fans as well. You can feel however you want to feel. When was the last time Jim Harbaugh got his ass kicked? When was the last time Jim Harbaugh got his ass kicked? I mean, he was the one kicking everybody's ass at Michigan, and they were good for the last few years. He hasn't had this feeling in a long time. It definitely bothers him. I think he holds guys accountable, unlike Brandon Staley, right? Joey Bosa, I'm just going to sit out till the playoffs start against the Jaguars, and then I'll come in and ruin everything. And then if I don't feel like playing, I'm just going to eat Raisin Bran at the top of the stadium. That's not going to be how it is under Jim Harbaugh. Seriously, like you said, people aren't going to walk into the Chargers facility and be like, I'm just going to cruise today. That's not how it works under Jim Harbaugh. You don't cruise under Jim Harbaugh. He's going to be up in your face. He's going to hold you accountable, or you're going to be gone. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're a top player on the team or not. If you're not going to bring it every day and compete for this Chargers team, you're not going to be out there. And that's why they brought in Jim Harbaugh, because he's the type of guy that holds guys accountable.
All right. So looking at the roster right now, Josh, as I said, they cut two guys. Two guys are going to help anyway. A couple things I want to say, because our message board is filling up with people asking about Juju all over the place. Do you guys want Juju?
Hell no.
I'm with Josh. I don't want him either.
He's a distraction. And this is, sorry for cutting you off. The whole thing that this has been a Charger thing for as long as I've been a Charger fan. Chargers have never brought in these types of people that have it. You know, it's all about them. The TikTok type people. Chargers have never had those guys. Even guys within the draft that have background issues. Chargers don't even take a chance on them. Remember Tyrann Mathieu? He loved to smoke weed, but he played a great safety. Chargers didn't even look at him. You know, I would have drafted him. I mean, can you tackle or not? But Chargers don't draft guys that have anything that is a distraction from off the playing field. So I don't think the Chargers even are in consideration for Juju.
I don't disagree. I think all that changed with the Chargers, or maybe they learned their lesson, was with David Boston. Do you remember they signed David Boston? I mean, that was you're probably about 10 years old at the time. But David Boston, you know, this big receiver from Ohio State, Arizona. The guy was, you know, built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and all of a sudden gets to the Chargers, biggest prima donna going. Needed his own trainer, wouldn't use any of the coaches, and then put up zero numbers for the Chargers. Just a huge bust, huge money, the whole deal. I think the Chargers learned their lesson in that situation. Now, the Honey Badger was one of those where, dude, this guy just has a knack for the ball. I mean, he's a great football player. And they wouldn't touch it. It was too big of a gamble for them to go with that kind of personality. Fine, you kind of have to respect it. You know what? The Steelers stay away from a lot of guys like that too, and they're a successful organization. But at the same time, I don't want Juju. I don't care if he's a USC guy. I don't care about all that stuff. Juju, to me, his last bit of talent came from when Patrick Mahomes was his quarterback. Otherwise, Juju has struggled. And Juju got off to a great start in his NFL career, and it was a great story how he was riding his bike everywhere, you know, and then, you know, he was all the stuff with him. But now it just turns into Juju's not – his name is – his talent's not equal in his name. How's that? He has a bigger name than what his talent is. Is a guy that I don't think the Chargers need. What I feel the Chargers need, I think it's going to be a glaring hole compared to most NFL teams, is I wish they would have figured out a way to get a pass-catching tight end that they're going to use. Because it sounds like the tight ends they're going to use are going to be the guys that are the blocking tight ends. I mean, there's talk that Donald Parham's not even going to make the team. You know, and then what does that leave you? I mean, are they going to be the only NFL team without a pass-catching tight end?
Well, people want to say Hayden Hurst is the pass-catching tight end, but
are you drafting him in fantasy football?
I'm not drafting any tight end on the Chargers in fantasy football.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw out a name right now. A guy that's a free agent. Would you sign him? Jimmy Graham. You wouldn't sign Jimmy Graham, right? Yeah.
God dang it.
Hold on, I gotta actually. No,
hold on.
Wait,
hold on.
Yeah.
I will say this about Jimmy Graham. I have no idea what happened to Jimmy Graham. Like, there was a time where Jimmy Graham was the talk of the NFL when it came to tight ends and the next great guy and a Hall of Famer and all this. He goes from the Saints to everywhere he goes to being garbage. Garbage with Seattle, garbage with the Bears, garbage with the Packers. Like, what happened to Jimmy Graham?
I think Jimmy Graham is a perfect example of what you just said about Juju. When he left Drew Brees, he was just a guy. Like, Drew Brees made him what he was. And I think Jimmy Graham is a physical freak and all that. But like you said, he just fell off a cliff when he left the Saints. He even went back to the Saints to get the feeling back, but it never worked out. All right, here's another tight end. Austin Hooper.
No.
There's no good tight ends out there.
Austin Hooper.
Yeah, there's nothing out there.
All right, let me see if I get this right. Let me play the immaculate grid game with Austin Hooper. All right. We're going Falcons, Browns, Titans, Raiders.
I believe,
right?
that's it.
It's like 4 teams. And when's the last time Austin Hooper was good?
Well, that's one less team than Hayden Hurst. Right? Chargers are his 5th or 6th team he's been on. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really out there for tight end. I would have liked Gerald Everett to be on this team. I really like Gerald Everett. I thought Donald Parham being 6'8" would turn into something too. If he doesn't make this team, it kind of sucks, man. Let's go to some comments on the side. How about we end the show with people asking some questions? Okay, AK, I'm gonna put your question up here. He says, if Asante and Fulton both ball out, who are you signing in the offseason? Remember, before you answer, Cam Hart is in the back of your pocket on a rookie deal. I have more hope for Asante Samuel Jr. this season than Christian Fulton. And I understand that Christian Fulton has looked really good in training camp, but you'd expect Asante Samuel Jr., a guy that has started for this team the last 2 years, to turn it up on his 3rd year. And if he plays great or good in this season and he's going against the number 1 receiver on the other team, I would choose Asante Samuel Jr.
I'm with Josh on this. I mean, it's funny. Maybe I expected Asante Samuel Jr. to be better than what he is. He's not a bad player. For some reason, I mean, this is one of those deals where you're kind of stuck with your dad's name, and his dad was so good that you just kept thinking you're going to see that same type of player. But I still have faith in him, or still believe in him, I should say.
All right. This one comes from B. Hannon. Who dated Tila Tequila? I believe that was Sean Merriman.
It was Sean Merriman.
Okay. That was easy. Yep.
I wonder, dude, I hate to say, you could just Google that one, but okay.
Yeah, no, that one's easy. Would you pay Kyle Pitts if he left Atlanta? Dude, if Kyle Pitts doesn't have a good season with Kirk Cousins this year, he just doesn't have it. Kirk Cousins loves throwing to the tight end.
He does.
I think Kyle Pitts is in for a big year. He has to share the ball with about 3 other guys that can turn it up as well. But Kyle Pitts, I think, is going to have a big season.
Man, I've been saying that every year Kyle Pitts has been in the league. I keep waiting for Kyle Pitts to show what he could show because he was so good in college and just was a one-man show. But I don't know what's going on. We've talked about this on the show back before the draft about what would it take to get Kyle Pitts out of Atlanta, just because you think that maybe with the right coach they could figure it out. But for some reason, the Falcons cannot figure out how to get him the ball.
Yeah, they cannot. Here's one from Jack Agnew. Prediction on how many sacks Khalil Mack is going to have. We've done this before, but
he had 17 last year, right?
Yeah, 17. I don't think he's going to get there.
No,
it's a lot.
Unless he plays the Raiders every week. I'll go. I'm gonna go 12. I'll just go 12, which would be great. I'd be happy with 12.
I'm going 12 as well. 12 is my number. I think Joey Bosa is going to have 10 if he's out there. Bud Dupree can add in 4. Tooley can add in 6 to 8, and that's a very good season from your edge rushers.
Yep.
All right. I like this one right here. This one comes from Isaiah Francis. We haven't asked Dave what made him mad this week.
You know what? This is going to sound dumb, but this is the first thing that just popped into my head. Okay, I'm a big uniform guy. Okay, in all sports. I think Josh hates when I talk uniforms because he's always busy doing something. I go, you know what? And I'll point something out about uniforms. I can't stand in baseball, for example, the uniforms the guys wear this year, the small names. I can't read the comments on the side of the screen. I can't read guys' names on their jerseys. The names are so goddamn small. It's ridiculous. I can't stand watching the guys sweat through their jerseys and the gray doesn't match the gray pants when I'm watching a baseball game. But you know what drives me nuts in football? I don't like the gray face mask unless you're a historic team. I like the face mask that matches the uniform. The Chargers have the gold face mask or they go with the blue face mask depending on the uniform. They don't go with the gray face mask. I hate to say it, the Chargers don't have the resume to wear the gray face mask. You understand? You have to have that resume of wearing the gray face mask and going, okay, we're so old school with your brand new helmet and your new state of the art. You got a goddamn earpiece in your helmet. You think they had those helmets back in 1950? What the hell are we talking about? Let's get face masks that match the uniform. The fact that the Tennessee Titans have a gray face mask is ridiculous. The Falcons are wearing a gray face mask. You got brand new uniforms that you can go with the gray face mask. Falcons have been an embarrassment since they came into the league. Go with the black face mask. It matches the uniform better. What the hell's wrong with you guys? Or gray face mask, old school football. That's the kind of crap that drives me nuts. Who makes your goddamn uniforms? You look stupid. Gray face mask. Oh, we're edgy. We're going old school. We're going to wear black shoes and gray face masks. Okay. Pull your kicker out there with a club foot and start kicking field goals straight through, straight up. Everyone goes soccer style. Enough of this stuff. Dude, you evolve. And this is the oldest guy on the show telling you evolve. God, get uniforms that match, stupid.
Nobody ever asked me what makes me upset. First off, great
Yeah.
rant. Nobody ever asked me what makes me upset. I'll tell you something that makes me upset. When you watch a sports game, or sports, when you watch sports and somebody keeps repeating the same thing the guy on the broadcast before said for the same team. How about we do a drinking game as fans this year? Next time you hear that Jim Harbaugh wants to beat you in everything during the broadcast, take a shot. You know what? You're not going to make it throughout the season. You're going to take 100 shots because everybody wants to tell you Jim Harbaugh wants to beat you, whether it's checkers or making a sandwich. It's like, dude, you guys literally say the same thing about the same guys. Get some new material. Doesn't that drive you crazy too? Like, it's so lazy to me.
Dude, you're absolutely right. So it's funny you say that. My buddy said this the other day, the same rant. A friend of mine that Josh knows, who someone did it in a broadcast. Josh, it's so funny you brought this up because you said the exact same thing. And he said, man, I don't care where you are, whether it's ping pong, it's darts, it's checkers, he wants to beat you. And my buddy immediately texts me, thanks a lot, Rick Monday. That's exactly, if you listen to Dodger games, something Rick Monday would say. Like, dude, everybody wants to win. That's why you put the uniform on. That's why you get the paycheck. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah, that is a tired, lazy line. This guy wants to beat you. Come on.
The worst.
How about I want to hear, this is the kind of guy that will drown his brother in the ocean, like Jim Harbaugh tried to do to John. I want to hear that line. Someone start using
That'll catch your attention. That'll stop from what you're doing. Turn back to the TV. What did he just say? What? All right. This one comes from Young West. Young West, you're my guy, but I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to get down on this one. Does Herbert pass Peyton Manning for most passing yards in his first 5 seasons? Yes, he will, to answer the question. Do I care? No, I don't care because it hasn't translated into any wins in the playoffs. And I know I sound like every other fan from every other team, but as a fan, don't you want him to win these games? Like, passing yards to me means absolutely nothing. I love that for Justin Herbert, that he can throw the ball all over the field and he's a generational talent. But if he's not winning playoff games or games in the regular season, like I said, he's below 500, it just doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, dude, I'm at this point where, number one, football stats, people don't have them memorized. They aren't like baseball stats. They aren't Hank Aaron with the 755 home runs. Certain things that you remember, whether it's Pete Rose, getting more than 4,000 hits, it's different, but if you're that guy that has crazy stats and your team doesn't win, you kind of look at it as a loser. I don't want Justin Herbert to be that way. I mean, Dan Marino in my time might be one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen, but Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. And so at the same time, what's he looked at as, a guy that played for himself, or is he a guy that didn't have talent around him? I mean, John Elway couldn't win either until they got him a running back. But at the same time, if you're going to sit there and start separating positions like quarterback, I don't care about the records like that. It's not taking a shot at you, Young West, for asking the question. It just, as a fan, it frustrates me even more. Like, how come we can't get results out of these great numbers? If that's the case, what does it say about either what he's doing not to win games or what is the organization doing for him not to win games? It's more of a slap in the face. It frustrates me even more. I just don't care.
Because it's the third quarterback we've had do this, right? If he doesn't win, Dan Fouts, Rivers, and now Herbert, we just want to win. Like DJ Khaled, all I want to do is win.
That's it.
Here we go. This one is interesting to me. This one comes from Job Reeves. How would you feel if we convert Quentin Johnson into a halfback / receiver like Debo? He just doesn't have the body for it. I mean, only a few guys in the NFL can take that type of beating and be on the field like that. First off, I don't think Quentin Johnson has the type of body for it. And second off, I don't think he has the brain to learn 2 positions. And that's not a diss. You have to be very, very smart to know how to play halfback, receiver, kind of like Debo Samuel, where you can play every position. You're basically the quarterback. You can know how to do everything. Yeah. Quentin Johnson, from what we heard, had a hard enough time learning how to play his position at receiver. So I don't think he would be a candidate for that.
It's a good point. He doesn't have the body type right now for sure. I mean, even Debo, as good as he was, said, I don't want to do this anymore. And then they made the trade for Christian McCaffrey. And you look at Debo, he still had trouble staying healthy, basically playing receiver only last year. When Debo had that crazy playoff game against the Cowboys, and everyone, if you didn't know who Debo Samuel was, you know who he was after that Cowboys game. And then he's like, all right, I'm never doing that again. Remember that whole argument with the 49ers? Like, dude, I don't want to be a running back. You guys are going to rip my body apart. Quentin Johnson wouldn't last 2 football games playing that position.
Yeah, I agree. This one, I'll start with you, comes from Ryan Merkel. How do you think the powder blue jerseys came out? Everybody was hating on the old school Seau era jerseys.
I love the uniforms now. The uniforms they wore the other day are my favorite ones. The powder blue with the white pants, white helmets. Those are my favorite ones. Those are,
Me too.
and I know at times with another uniform they switch out. They go with the blue face mask. Even if they went with the blue face mask, took the yellow away, man, I love those uniforms. I think they're the best in the NFL. Every single time I see them, I go, those uniforms look great.
Yeah, I agree. I think those are the best Charger uniforms. The one they wore the other day. This is a guy that we've known for a long time. It comes from the Fit Investor. What did you guys think about Tony Jefferson showing? I think he looked good in that goal line situation. What do you think about Tony Jefferson? You've known Tony since he was 10 years old.
Like 8 years old in Little League. Dude, I loved having Tony out there. Like, Tony, I think, is an important part of this team. I know it's only a 53-man roster and you're only going to dress 48. But, man, they got to find a way to keep Tony on this team. I love what he does as far as he's turned into a player coach. He is always around the ball. He's always been that way, by the way. I mean, watching him in high school, he's always just been that guy. There's certain guys you go, that guy's around the ball all the time. Derwin James is always around the ball. I don't know how you teach it, how you get those kind of instincts, but when you see guys like that in the NFL, Minkah Fitzpatrick's that guy for the Steelers. But Tony Jefferson being on this team, it's like having a coach on the field, and I think that's what this organization needs. And if it's only for 1 year that he's a Charger, fine. But I thought Tony Jefferson looked great the other day.
I thought he did too. I think Tony's the type of guy you want to keep on this team because he's a leader. People love him everywhere he's been, and he makes a ton of tackles. He's a great tackler, led Oklahoma in tackles his last year there, went undrafted, which still scratching my head about because he led the whole team in tackles as a safety. And then he ends up making the team with the Cardinals, has a good run with the Ravens, and then he ends up on the Chargers a few years later. But I would love for Tony Jefferson to make this team. And him and Derwin James are boys. Why not keep Derwin happy? Derwin wants a guy to be on the team. To keep Derwin James happy at all costs. All right, let's see if there's any more here. I don't know. Here's one. I'm going to say no on this. Sorry if I can pull it up. It comes from Sergio.
Go ahead.
It comes from Sergio Chavez. What do you think about Quentin Johnson becoming a cornerback like Richard Sherman?
He has the hands for it.
Oh boy,
he's Quentin Jammer hands. Remember Quentin Jammer? Oh my God, dude! It's like
Quentin Jammer uses hands to grab jerseys.
Yeah, dude. If Quentin Jammer would have every ball that hit his hands, he was turned into a pick six, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. The guy had the craziest skillet hands I've ever seen. Good Lord.
Oh, he did. Dude, Quentin Jammer had to lead the league in PIs, dude, right? He was a good cover guy. He just got so many PIs. And then you had Antonio Cromartie, who was raw as hell, that caught everything. They're the complete opposite of one another on the same team. That was an interesting team. It was the most stacked Chargers team ever, right? 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the comment you want?
It was hold on, I don't even know how you bring it up.
On the uniforms?
Yeah.
This one?
You gotta
read it because you can't see. Okay.
B.
Hannon says, on the uniforms, I'm not a fan of colleges not wearing their school colors.
That's a great point right there. It's a great point. Dude, I'm with you, B. Hannon. I don't understand it, man. In colleges, it's basically as basic as can be. The thing with a college team and a pro team, it's two different things, right? You pick your pro team. A lot of times it's a city you grew up in. Sometimes a city you move to. Sometimes it's because your grandfather liked that team. That's fine. But if you go to that school, you become part of that team forever. That school you pick, you become part of that team. Josh went to Alabama. He has Alabama in his blood forever. Guess what? Alabama stays with the same uniforms, right? It's basically that could be. I don't care who wins the college football best uniform contest, whatever the hell that means. All I know who's winning national championships, but it's the same two crimson stripes down the leg, the black shoes, the crimson jersey, gray face mask, by the way, not the white one like Georgia has, because they're old school. They've been around since like 1892 or something. But here's the deal. When you look at Oregon, who hasn't won jack squat, doesn't even have a goddamn trophy case. You got 8 million uniforms and no trophies. It's embarrassing. Your school colors are yellow and green. Kelly green. You'd never wear any of those combinations, except for when you play like Washington State or Oregon State, which that now is going to probably stop because they're in two different conferences. Freaking joke. I went with them 100%. Wear your goddamn school colors. You're ashamed of your school colors?
This is great. I love the uniform stuff. It gets you so riled up. Here's another uniform question. Comes from Isaiah Francis. Do y'all think the Chargers will bring back the Navy helmets during the Harbaugh tenure? Also, what other alternate helmet / uniform would you like to see the Chargers wear? You have an answer to that question?
I have zero complaints about the Charger uniforms now. I don't want to see them change back to the Navy helmets. You know, to me, that says San Diego, and nothing against San Diego. Look, I covered that team the entire time they're here. The difference is they didn't win. Okay. I mean, you have nothing to fall back on and say, hey, we won a championship in those uniforms, which I don't, by the way, that's another uniform thing drives me nuts. I don't understand teams that win championships and then change their uniform.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very superstitious. This is when Josh was like a year old. Houston Rockets, Josh, won the championship in like 94 and 95 when Jordan was out of the league. The next year, they changed to these like crazy Harlem Globetrotter uniforms, and they don't win jack squat forever. And like, why would you change your uniforms? You just won 2 NBA championships. What the hell are you doing? So, no, I don't want to see the Chargers go back to a Navy helmet. I'm fine with what they have. I think the Chargers have every combination the Chargers have are the best uniforms in the league.
My only request with the Chargers uniforms is don't ever wear yellow pants. It just looks ridiculous to me. I hate the yellow pants.
I'm kind of with Josh on that.
I don't like the yellow pants.
And I'm gonna give you an example on the yellow pants. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in a parking lot. All right. You're walking out of a bar. This is to you and anyone else wants to listen. You're walking out of a bar, and some guy goes, what's up, bitch? Says to you out of nowhere. And you're like, God dang it. The guy's either wearing 2 things. All right. You got the guy wearing the black pants and a black polo shirt, or you got a guy wearing yellow pants and a white polo shirt. Who's the guy you're going to fight first? You're going to fight the guy in the yellow pants, right? I mean, how tough are you in yellow pants? I understand the Packers wear yellow, the Steelers wear yellow. I got it. But dude, honestly, how tough do you look in yellow pants? You don't look that tough.
I hate to agree. Yeah, you're right.
I'm saying if you got to fight one of the 2 guys, you're going to fight the guy in the yellow pants first.
100%. 100%. Yeah, you're right. Young West says, appreciate you guys. Keep the lives coming. Dude, all season we're going to be doing these live shows. We actually prefer doing live shows over the recorded ones.
Yeah.
It's way more fun to interact with you guys.
Big.
Dude, there are a lot of comments right now. It's hard. Let me see. This one is picking up a lot of questions and comments. We'll end with this. Mike G. Oh, geez, I'm an idiot. Sorry, guys. I'll find it. But the question was from Mike G. Here you go. Who are your top 5 quarterbacks of all time? No order. We'll go no order.
Go ahead, Josh.
All right. I'm going to go no order. Tom Brady.
Okay.
Obviously.
I'm with you. It's one of my
Peyton Manning.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately, at this point. I think he's top 5 for sure. I don't even know, like Johnny Unitas. I'm kind of lost after. No, Joe Montana. Joe Montana. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me cook. Yeah, that's my 4. People want to say Dan Marino, but Dan Marino never won anything. I understand he was great. I also didn't see him play. So I got 4 guys. I don't have 5. Who do you have?
I go with I'll add Dan Marino in there. That would be my 5 right there. Dan Marino was so good. Dan Marino did a couple things that were amazing. Not only was he completely accurate, but he got the ball out of his hand so fast. Like, Dan Marino never got sacked. I mean, it was just his timing was great. Again, he was the 28th pick in that draft. John Elway's up there. John Elway was frustrating to watch because right when you thought you had him, he'd run for 17 yards. John Elway was one of those guys. You hear quarterbacks say, just listen to someone the other day. It was Sam Bradford was saying it, how it took him a long time not Sam Bradford. That's Drew
Matt Stafford.
What
team does he play for? Let's work on
this. The Rams quarterback.
Stafford.
God dang it.
Stroke.
I just had a stroke. By the way, the room I'm doing the show in right now is 118 degrees. It's humid. I'm rolling cigars right now as I'm talking. Here's the deal. He said that he used to throw every ball as hard as he could, and as a quarterback that, sometimes you just got to make sure it's a catchable ball. One thing about Phillip Rivers, I don't think there's anyone that ever watched a Charger game in person that's saying, dude, I could catch that ball. Phillip Rivers is the most catchable ball of all time, right? It looked like it was as soft as could be. It laid it in there, where some guys seem like they can't figure out how hard to throw it. And so when you look at John Elway, man, he would gun that thing as hard as he could, and he had a cannon. And you go, God, man, as they used to say in the South, he's the kind of guy that could throw the ball and knock a barn over. John Elway did that every time. Whereas you look at certain quarterbacks, how it seemed like it's a catchable ball, And Dan Marino was fine. I got a quick Dan Marino story for you. All right.
Oh, boy.
Dolphins come to town. They're playing the Chargers. It's a Monday night game. And I go in the Dolphins locker room because I got to get sound from 2 Dolphins players before I send it back to ESPN. And most people are lining up around Dan Marino. And I go to Brian Cox first, the linebacker, and I interview him, and then I go to Dan Marino and ask a question, and he goes, "I already answered that question. Where were you?" I goes, "Over there talking to your linebacker." "Well, I'm the most important player on the team. Whenever you cover the Dolphins, you always come to me first." I was like, "Oh, there you go. That's why you don't lose. That's why you aren't winning. That's why you guys lose those games, because of that. I'm the most important person here, so you come to me first." I was like, "All right, Dan.
All right, dude. All right.
There you
Congratulations on those 0 Super Bowls. Wait,
There
just
you
real
go.
quick, just want to clarify. You take Dan Marino, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but
Yeah.
take Dan Marino over John Elway, Troy Aikman, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, all those guys.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right.
I do. Yeah. And anyone who wants to tell me about Johnny Unitas, dude, football was just different then. I'm sorry. That was before my time. I've seen the clips. I understand, Johnny Unitas in a Charger uniform was just sad. Joe Namath in a Charger uniform, just sad. But football's much, much different. I'm sorry. Look back at this is why I do this a lot when I'm bored. I'll go to YouTube and I'll type in like 1979 NFC playoffs, Rams, Cowboys, and just to look at the defenses. Dude, you got 8 guys on the line every play. I mean, how hard is it one-on-one coverage? Every quarterback looks terrible, by the way, in the 60s and 70s. It looks ridiculous. And it looks like they're throwing a ball that weighs 10 pounds. Like, why is it so hard to throw the freaking ball 15 yards?
Yeah.
It's insane. The quarterback play today has never been better. Never.
Yeah. It looks like they're throwing a rugby ball. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
What do they say in college? In college, you're always open. In the pros, you're never open. I mean, to even complete a pass in the NFL is amazing.
It's true. All right, we're going to end on this. This comes from Daniel McCamish. It says, "What's the status of Mario's injury? How many weeks will he be out?" I just got a text literally from Mario right when you sent that. And I'm going to read it to you guys. This is that insider info you guys don't pay for. Here we go. "I just woke up." This just came from Mario literally right now. "I just woke up, not going to lie. Have to wash all my sheets because I sweated through it. Or I pissed through it. Honestly, I don't know. It's soaking wet."
Well, hopefully he broke his fever. Hopefully that was sweat. Hopefully that was sweat.
Well, if he pissed himself, he didn't break his fever.
It's embarrassing. Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. Mario told us about 3 hours ago. He goes, "Guys, I'm really sick." He goes, "I don't think I can do the show today." So I wrote him back and said, "Hey, can you at least turn the camera on and just sit there?" So Josh and I were just going to do the show, introduce Mario, and then we weren't going to say one word to him the whole time, and see if any of you noticed that we don't let Mario talk the entire show. But he was passed out, so he missed it. So we didn't even get to test you guys out on that one. But there you go. Well, yeah, we got to take a lot of messages, at least in this one, Josh.
Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed this show. Young West says Mario has yellow pants. Laugh out loud.
Dude, if I could give a prize out right now, Young West, you would have got it. All right, right there, you would have won something. That was funny. That was good. Yes, Mario with his yellow pants. He's the guy we'd fight first, without a doubt.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, well, I didn't even tell you, but we need to subscribe to the show. As crazy and dumb as the show might be, we help us out a lot if you subscribe to it. If you give us a thumbs up, that helps us out. And Josh, are you going to say something else?
I was going to say same time on Thursday.
Give the thumb up and see if it goes up like Mario.
It doesn't work for me.
God dang it. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know.
Anyway, there you go. If you have comments on the YouTube, please put them in there. Josh and I try and do the best we can to get and respond to every single one of them. We do read every one of them. And if we don't respond, it's either because we straight out agree with you or someone wrote it before. But otherwise, we try and respond to every single one of them. But we read every one of them. So thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us if you went live. Otherwise, we'll see you in 2 days, and we'll talk more Charger football, getting ready for the next game against the Rams. What's your opinion? What do you think? Does any of these preseason games matter? Is there a rivalry at all between the Rams and Chargers? Is it important that the Chargers score more than 3 points for their fan base in the Jim Harbaugh era? Just curious to know what you think, or are we just going to sit there and walk through 3 games and say, all right, we'll be ready when it matters against the Raiders? We'll talk about all that stuff on Thursday's show, but again, appreciate you watching and participating today. Again, for Josh Palais, hope Mario gets better. I'm Dave Palais. We'll see you next show.